Dave, and Amy, and the entire Piedmont chapter leadership team. Thank you for the opportunity. And hey, guys, appreciate you guys zooming in. As Dr. Thomas referenced, really, I do sincerely believe the true American dream is really, I think, one thing that makes us unique as a country is, yeah, if you've got an idea and you want to put your money where your mouth is, you have a chance to try to build a business around that. And that's really unique. And I think that really helps us, I think, as a country stand out from a lot of other players on the global scene. So really excited about joining you guys and kind of sharing our thoughts on the process we advocate for starting a business and really making the case for it. So I'm going to do a little more of a deeper dive on who we are, what we do, SBDC and our partners at SCORE, and then kind of frame the value relative to starting a business in an intentional and process-driven manner. And then we'll kind of tee it up for you and share how you can move forward per your discretion and in support from our SBDC and SCORE at no cost whatsoever to you guys ever. So here's the thing. The for-profit small business sector is extremely important to the quality of life here in the U.S. from a macro perspective and in the upstate of South Carolina in particular. It's small businesses, the for-profit small business sector creates about 80% of the new jobs we enjoy year in and year out, and accounts for just south of 43% of the entire workforce here in South Carolina. So you guys are a big deal as a sector. And but the concern is long-term Office of Advocacy, SBA data, less than 3 in 10 will survive of new businesses started here in the U.S. will actually survive to celebrate a 10-year anniversary. The key reasons for that are worth noting. And that's really a lack of understanding of who your market really is. And if you're feeling like everybody's your market, we can really help you. That's the number one killer of a new business start is lack of target market clarity. And if you don't really understand who your audience is, then how in the world would you ever develop a compelling why you statement? How could you position your business to actually set itself apart from all the other options that your target market segment or segments have at their fingertips? So those two most critical headwinds to me are joined at the hip, and they speak to basic market feasibility considerations. And then third, and again, this is long-term 4 decades and counting data, very consistent data points, is really the lack of adequate capital on the front end and some mismanagement on financing structure that can really get a business in a bind. And so those are the most critical headwinds. And then there could be a blind spot when it comes to management or leadership skills. You may be a master at what you're doing, industry-wise, but if you've never built and led a team and or had to manage a business concern, then there may be some things you've got a lack of awareness around. And so just thinking about that. Well, from a public policy perspective, it was determined in the 1970s to stand up a national network of small business development centers. SCORE came around much earlier in the 1950s, I think, and then evolved, as Dr. Thomas referenced. Think of us as either siblings from a standpoint of support resources, or worst case, kissing cousins, one or the other. But we're not mutually exclusive. We're actually entities that are both administered through the Small Business Administration. We're not the SBA. My friends at SCORE are not the SBA, but again, we're administered through that SBA program to be here as a touch point for you guys who are looking, in your case, to start a business, but we're here, our SBDCs primarily for existing healthy businesses that are engaged in expansion, but we're always here for those looking to start a business as well. And we do that primarily through professional no-cost consulting and professional development training, and then leveraging support resources to help complement and/or feed gaps to our core services and sweet spot relative to your needs. Our friends at SCORE serve a consulting component, training as well, and looping in complementary resources. And they also fill a special need as mentors, which can be a little different relationship. But again, no fee on counseling and mentoring whatsoever through SBDC or SCORE. So you'll find SBDCs in all 50 states and U.S. territories at this point. And again, they're administered through the SBA. They do require matching grant thanks to the leadership in the state of South Carolina. We've had the South Carolina Small Business Development Center here for you guys, or really anybody trying to build a business here in South Carolina since 1979. And I am a proud employee of Clemson University, as are my Clemson region teammates, of which I get the honor of running team lead on as our director. We are proud to join hands with our counterparts at SC State, USC, and Winthrop to round out our statewide consortium of the South Carolina Small Business Development Centers. Our Piedmont chapter SCORE is part of a national network of 10,000 plus volunteers that are really dedicated to giving back of their experience, their wisdom from garnered from typically over a career in a specific industry or a couple industries, such that they can really leverage some insight as a potential mentor for anybody that may be working to build a business the right way here in South Carolina. So again, 3 things bringing us together today: deeper dive about who we are, what we do, and why. Just took care of that one. And now we're really going to lay into the second objective that brings us together, and that's drilling in on our preferred approach to starting a business. We adopt the old carpenter's rule: measure twice and cut once. And really, we look at a preliminary feasibility assessment as that initial measure. What is that? That's really the low-hanging fruit. What can you get your arms around in a hurry? And understand, is there a path forward? So again, you're kind of assessing what are those critical headwinds again that lead to over 70% of folks standing up a new business concern in the U.S. From failing to celebrate a 10-year anniversary. Well, again, market feasibility, understanding who that market really is, who's that target, and niching that tight enough such that you can then have a compelling reason by setting yourself apart from all the other options. In whose eyes? Dr. Thomas' eyes or my eyes? Yours? Your spouse's? No, in your target market eyes. And you just have to understand that at every decision point as you're working through the marketing concept. So again, and then we're looking for, is there a potential funding path? How are you going to finance this? Again, that third killer of a new business was lack of adequate capital on the front end. And so how are you going to finance this? And do you have all the capital needs identified on the front end? So again, we're here to help from a professional guidance perspective, collaborate with you through that process early on to assess. And if it looks like the project has legs, move you forward through a deeper dive of planning. And so that's a much more intense, requires much more effort. That's that second measure. So measure twice. And then if you do decide to move forward at that point, there's a process to implement a business the right way, so you've got peace of mind knowing you've got any licensing and other regulatory types of things buttoned up, as well as sound management principles baked into your game plan. So again, that's what we're about. I would say this: we added the phase 4 scale growth. At some point in time, typically 2 to 3 years out of starting a business, the market will have settled. You'll have refined things such that you're now probably looking to grow the business, or at least to keep what you've got and remain competitive, and understand that competitive challenge is fluid. It's not static. It's dynamic. It continues to move. And again, our SBDC and our friends for SCORE would be here for you long term. There's really no end to that. You lean on us per your discretion. So that early assessment, first measure, is it a good fit for you? And is it a good time for you? Can you actually afford to take risk into your life at this point? Or is it a bad time to do that? Is it a good time? Are you going to leave your current job? Can you afford to take that gamble? And so is it the right fit, the right time? These are questions, again, you just need to think about on the front end. And then, is it the right idea? Is this something you can be passionate about? And do you really see opportunity? Not necessarily, I wouldn't look necessarily at the current moment so much as I would look out, what about a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And I try to make that type of strategic minded decision around your fit, and trying to back into what's my lifestyle going to be about. If will I be able to go on as many vacations as I'm accustomed to? And is that important to me right now, given the age of the kids, grandkids, whoever is in your life? So it's all these think about it this way: see the end in mind, back into it, and then from that, execute forward. So this is kind of the first phase for that. And does it appear you could actually build a viable business model around that idea, given market pressures and likely available capital you have to work with? So again, the old carpenter's rule: measure twice, cut once. That's a low-hanging fruit, preliminary kind of assessment. We're trying to see a path, basic components of market feasibility, and a probable path of you getting of you attaining the capital you need to fully fund that project on the front end. And so we do that, typically a much deeper dive of engagement with you in collaborative planning that drives a really comprehensive marketing study, of which a professionally developed financial modeling will happen in collaboration with you to make sure the business model works. Quite frankly, the margins are sound, and this thing is going to pay you what you would deserve, market rates, by working in the business, but also give you realistic, reasonable expectations for return on investment for the risk you're taking of being the owner. So, and we're peaking monthly at solvency cash flow position. Profits, you pay taxes on profits. You pay bills with cash. So cash is king in the business world. So, it's kind of having that mindset through a comprehensive modeling. And then fleshing out that full marketing plan from where you are now to ramping up to that launch and then beyond. So they first measure, then second measure, and now you measure twice. And then let's assume you're going to move forward with your game plan as is. Let's say it scores out to be feasible. Does that mean it's foolproof? Absolutely not. But at this point, we're assuming you've made a decision based on the process of measuring twice, shallow dive, much deeper dive, collaborative planning with your friends at SBDC and SCORE. Now you're going to move forward. There are specific things you need to do, and you need to do them specifically in order. And I'll give you an example. It's first thing is you want to make sure you got your capital fully committed. Capital's fully committed. And now go ahead and make a decision on the optimal legal entity and go ahead and get moving, go ahead and get that stood up. So, and then as an agent of the legal entity of choice, now you can work with the bank to open all the different accounts you're going to need to support that business. Okay, as an agent of the legal entity. As an agent of the legal entity, you can move forward now with applying for all the licensing and or permits that you're going to need that's tied and required to that type of business. The thing is, if you go do those things early and you can't get the capital committed, guess what? You got to come back and pay to undo that stuff. So again, there's a reasonable way to do that. And honestly, if you stood that stuff up personally and then stood up a separate legal entity other than being a sole proprietorship, you're going to have to come back and do all that stuff under the auspices of the business entity. And again, you got to come back and undo that. So it's just having a well thought out set of pre-launch activities, and baked in that timeline of milestones then would simply be a soft launch and a full launch. And then it's just monitor, refine as you go. And we use the South Carolina Department of Commerce 9-step process for all the registrations, et cetera, you guys need for starting a business. And then, as I mentioned before, if you do move forward, we're here for you over time. After around that 24 to 36 months, the dust will have settled. You will have refined that new business to a point. Your symptoms, your challenges and opportunities are more aligned with a healthy business in position to grow relative to an early formed company that's still trying to figure it out and adjust and get your sea legs. And we strongly suggest leaning heavily into the strategic management process as an ongoing endeavor to scale growth the right way to drive optimal value to your business in the marketplace. And we use fair market value of an existing business as a proxy for business health, foundational health that is needed to actually sustain growth to start with. Because believe it or not, you can actually grow yourself out of business if you do that in an improper manner. So 3 things bringing us together in a brief time today. Again, a little more about who we are, what we do, and why. And then the process we advocate for starting a business and making the case for it. And now the third thing that brings us together, we'll kind of cover that now. And that's how do you move forward? So if you want to take advantage of, at no cost to you, complimentary and confidential professional business guidance that includes how to start a business and working you through that process in a collaborative manner to help you do all you can to control the odds with all that you possibly can. It's very simple, kind of simple as 1, 2, 3, and that's simply you'll respond to an email recap from our teammates at SCORE, and then that will facilitate your request. You'll likely be aligned with a SCORE mentor first and foremost, and then I would say work with them through the early phase assessment. At some point when you feel, yes, this thing's moving forward, I would simply ask you, ask your SCORE mentor to loop in their SBDC teammate. And again, we're not mutually exclusive. So keep that in mind. We can bring additional layers of love to your project once you get into that much deeper dive assessment because you've got a project that, given the early returns, appear to have market feasibility and a probable path for funding. And you felt like it's the right time for you as well, an idea, and you're moving forward. We can bring comprehensive market research support to the table to work with you and your SCORE mentor. And we can bring some additional collaborative business planning software to you as a client at no cost to you. And again, we can collaborate with you and your SCORE mentor support as well, all at one time as you reach that second measure phase and then beyond that. So we're looking forward to working with you. And as I mentioned earlier, it's just we love what we do at Clemson with our center. Our folks are passionate about serving others and really work hard to be role models. And with those folks we're working with and working around and relative to the brands we represent, which again, from our Clemson region SBDC, that's our Powers Family College of Business at Clemson, of which our center is proudly part of, as well as the Clemson University brand, of which we're really proud of as well. And then obviously our statewide consortium, South Carolina SBDC team, and we're proud of that brand affiliation as well. So with that said, it's just an honor again, Dr. Thomas, to work with you and Marjorie and Dave and Amy and your entire leadership team. And we look forward to hopefully coming out of this. I think we had 30 some odd registered. I'm not sure if everybody, I'm zooming in from Atlanta, so don't know if the Atlanta traffic messed some of those folks up from getting in with us, but you know, it's we're looking forward to working with you kind of time and place. So with that said, I'll just ask any questions that you guys would have at this point or comments that we might could take care of?
So there is a comment which is appreciative of what you're doing. So thank you for that comment, Vanessa.
Good.
But I do not see a question yet. I welcome everyone to, put your questions in the chat box, or let me know, or raise your hand so that I can open up the audio for you to talk,
Sure.
whichever way works. Are these
Fantastic.
one-on-one consultations after this call? Maggie, could you,
Mhm.
would you want to, yeah, thank you.
Hello,
Maggie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for zooming in with us. And so one-on-one consults after this call. Yeah, this is kind of a start point, and that's a really good question, Maggie. I'm thinking Dr. Thomas can confirm this. I know with our process, SBDC, try to get everybody looking to start a business, you know, kind of get some of this, what we call kind of housekeeping and honestly professional courtesy. If we're going to advocate a process, then again, we kind of empathize with you and switch seats. And if somebody's going to advocate, I work through a process. If I'm looking to start a business, you know, I want them to make the case for that process. So again, this is really a professional courtesy. This is really the only time you would be working with us in a group setting. As you move through the process, and you'll start that by engaging with your SCORE mentor per that email directive. So as you work through the process, that's really one-on-one. That's one-on-one. And again, Maggie, I'd encourage you when you get to a certain point of that, and you decided, yeah, this thing's got legs and I'm moving forward with it. If your SCORE mentor hasn't already suggested it at that point, I would encourage you, just a general reminder, you know, if they could loop in their partners, our Clemson SBDC folks. And again, there's another layer of love we can bring to the table as you're really drilling deeper into that collaborative assessment, making sure you got the best game plan possible to put forward for yourself and your family. And so, yeah, appreciate that question. Good question. Any other questions? Fantastic. Well, guys, I was kind of hurried getting here. I'm on the road at a national SBDC conference, but we're close by. We're just down 85 in Atlanta this year, so not too big of a travel burden for myself and my teammates that are here. And you know, we're just like you guys, man. We're fully committed to learning and growing, and really that's what brings us here. But so I appreciate the kind of the logistics around that. Dr. Thomas, I really appreciate you, and yes, making sure we had a plan B. I wasn't exactly sure with Wi-Fi integrity and that kind of stuff here at the hotel and that type of thing. And if any of you guys came in before I finished my hurried lunch, I apologize. I should have moved myself out of shot of the camera range, but I'm thankful that at least the video had not begun until that had been concluded. So thanks, guys. We appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. It'll be our honor to work with you collaboratively as you assess your project and then hopefully beyond. Thanks, guys. Be safe.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ben.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Have a
Bina.
good day.
Bye.